finish it.
Yeah. Mr. Before we ended our last session, talking about the epistemologies and um, our conclusions after working with this small research, which we had about the labor course delivered from the north to the south, Norway to Bangladesh. And we've been talking very much together and reflecting about epistemologies. And Professor Kosa, he's been sharing his uh, philosophy of Ubuntu, um, and which means people. And this is a alternative to the Western um, epistemology, which is very much based on Descartes and dualism. And to make it short, perhaps we can say that the Ubuntu is the opposite alternative. So when we were uh, talking about Ubuntu as an alternative to alternative thinking going into reflection about the lifelong learning. Um, I recall the wonderful discussion you came into. You were really enthusiastic, both Sharmista and Jafar, about what you are bringing with you from your background and your culture. Um, I can you share some um, thoughts or
Yeah.
from your culture?
Thank you, Astrid. Beginning with the Ubuntu and the agenda of the Ubuntu. Ubuntu informed us for Global South, it is very much needed to de-border, de-link. And so basically the agenda in that discussion is how can we de-border, how can we de-link,
Yeah.
how can we promote our own epistemology, axiology, and the ontology. So that is the core of the agenda of our paper, while we are alternatively theorizing our philosophy, conception of human, and the concept of universe, and the self, society, and also education. So to this end, actually we bring it forward the concept called the Manush Bhajana, which is Bengali term, and Manush Bhajana is a sort of refers to a deep conviction of human for human, and which is a thorough path of understanding and realizing human. And in this paradigm, the human is not only human, human is connected with the society, human is connected with the universe. And particularly Lalon is very important. Lalon is a 17th century philosopher, and he didn't have so-called, how we say is the institutional education. He composed everything orally. So he is a singer, poet, theoretician, philosopher, whatever you call. So his main concern was about the sort of his conception is very much against the I-based European Renaissance humanism. His conception was all is one. And he has basically the famous song, what he said that 40 after 9, then 90,000. That we understand, right? But he said, okay, erase all the zeros, then you have the play with only one. So, and the thing is deduction, reduction, plus, minus, then at the end we are one. We may have so many identities, nationalities, ethnicities, identities, but at the end of the day, we are one. So that's, his formulation dissolved the all kind of the construction, ethnic construction, identity construction, and he makes one. which is quite fascinating philosophy in terms of the workers' education, because the workers' education, workers they themselves are always collective. So his conception of the self, society, universe, body is actually laid out the broader foundation where workers can come together, discuss, learn each other, and fight for the injustice. They can find their own ways. They have capability. They are being of action, right? Being of praxis. So they can do. So this is the underlying foundation. And particularly he said that, okay, what you are frantically looking across the sky, look at yourself, look at your body. So the body is connected with everything. So that's the philosophical underpinning of our education as opposed to the European Renaissance, I-based humanism and philosophy.
Jafar, I just got a reflection when you were talking as well about all is one. My thoughts went to Jamaica and reggae, which also derives from Africa from the beginning. So we are traveling around the world here.
Yeah.
Teresa,
Exactly.
would
Yeah.
you bring us forward?
Yeah. Actually,
Thank you.
I
Jafar.
wanted to just bring in something in lines of Jafar. He kind of brought La Lone for us over here. I just wanted to evoke Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, who was a Nobel laureate, and his vision of education and what the purpose, true education, what it means, what is true education. Since we are talking about this workers' education project, so for Tagore, the primary purpose of education was to be able to like rather than seeking scientific knowledge, you are actually trying to find a harmonious relationship with everything that's in existence. So it's nature, be it human, be it the society. So anything that's in existence. So you're finding a harmonious relationship with it. That's the ultimate aim of education for him. And in that respect, he also defined the role of a teacher. So who's really a teacher? So as a teacher, you're really, for him, a true teacher learns from his disciple and then gives it back, learns from him and then gives it back to him. So he's enlightened by his own disciple, he's enlightened by his own student, and then gives it back to that student. That's the level of, so there's no hierarchy here. There's no a teacher who is at a higher pedestal and the student who is who's learning from them. So both of them are learning and interacting with each other, and both are learning, and they just have this mutual relationship where each one gains from that uh, educational process. Another thing that's very critical for him, and I think it's very relevant for whenever we are talking about this project, is understanding that education is deeply, closely related to our culture, our traditions, our language, and the socioeconomic makeup. So if you take that out of the equation, if you just bring like bookish knowledge and just impose, then that will fail to have the desired results. So you need to have education that is rooted in these factors that's around the human. Like I mentioned, your language, your culture. So yeah, so I think that kind of helps us see through the lens of Ubuntu, and have this all-encompassing view, a collective view of how education should work and how we can contribute as educators. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Just I would add two more things. Tagore's foremost concern is culture, society, and the language. And Tagore holds the powerful alternative in that sense. If you look at our findings, that all the curriculum and the teachers, they are from the different parts of the world, and which is the predominantly, occupied by the English text, literature, deliverables of the workers' education. While Tagore's, suggest us true education only happens when education is closely, deeply ingrained with the culture, society, and the language. So therefore, here the land, labor, and language are the core concern in our philosophical formulation. So if you see the connections between the Lalon and Rabindranath, it is their far and foremost concern about the land, labor, and the language. So thus can be the most effective alternative for the education if truly we want them for, if really they want to liberate themselves.
True.
Thank you,
Well
Sharmita
said. Yeah.
and Jafar.
Thank you.
I just want to add a little thing about Tagore,
Mhm.
since uh, I'm very enthusiastic about Montessori pedagogic, and through you, I realized that Tagore was he inspired Maria Montessori very much in
Yeah.
Italy, and also during the Second World War. She was there in India for several years, and with Tagore.
Mm.
And I live in Stockholm, and that's where the Nobel Prize is
Yes.
delivered, and he
Uh,
A lot of
was
connections there.
in
Mhm.
1913. So thank you for enlightening me
Thank
along our journey.
Thank you for sharing that. That was wonderful.
yeah, and so this is the one of the best part of our collective